Alright guys, welcome to Chapter 5. This is Section 5.1 on classified ads. So let's do this. Let's jump into the vocabulary section. Alright, the first vocabulary word we have is a sales tax. This is a tax on sales or on the receipts from sales. So like if you go buy something at the store, let's say you go and buy, I don't know, pretty much anything. You go and buy a car, for example, you're going to pay the price of the car plus an additional tax that the state uses or the local city uses. And so that additional fee is called a sales tax. Next word we have here is domain. Now the domain is a set of values that can be inputted into a function. So these limits on the left and right axis on the x values, this is what we're going to limit. The domain is everything in the positive direction, negative direction on the x-axis, and we're going to stop our lines or our ability to go in either direction using domain restrictions. Next word is going to be piecewise functions, also known as split functions. This is just when two or more equations can be written in a mathematical shorthand. So it's kind of like you're going to pick which equation you're going to use. We're just going to list out the different equations that apply for this particular situation. That's a piecewise function. The last word we have is cusp. This is a point where two lines from a piecewise function meet. So there's changes that happen. Sometimes there's gaps. Sometimes there's just a change in direction for these lines, and we're going to find these points where these lines make that change, and that's going to be the cusp. All right, let's get into the checking for understanding. So let's start off with example number 1. Alright, let's get started on this problem. So, what is the sales tax on a $35,000 vehicle in California with a 7.5% sales tax rate? So the first thing we need to do is that 7.5%, we need to express that as a decimal. So the easiest way for us to do that is going to move that decimal over 2 spaces, put that decimal right here, and add a 0. Alright, so when we change that 7.5% back to a decimal, it's going to be 0.075. So we take that $35,000 vehicle, we're going to multiply it by 0.075, and that's going to be an answer of $2,625 in sales tax. That's what we're looking for right there. Alright, example number 2. So Ramon plans to sell his car. He wants to place an ad with 5 lines. Newspaper's going to charge him $27 for the first 3 lines and then $11 for each additional line that he runs for a week. So what will the ad cost him to run for 3 weeks? So a couple things that are important here. First, the ad we're placing is a 5-line ad. Second, the newspaper charges $27 for the first 3 lines and then $11 for each additional line. And that's for 1 week. Right? He wants to run it for 3 weeks. So let's first solve what happens for 1 week, right? So week 1, he's gonna, let's fix that semicolon right there. So week 1, he's gonna get charged $27, right? And that's gonna include this first 3 lines. Now he ran a 5-line ad, so 5 lines minus 3 lines is going to be 2 additional lines that we need to pay for here, and each additional line is going to be an extra $11. So that 27 he's going to get charged, plus he's going to get charged $11 more for 2 additional more lines, right? So now we're looking at 27 plus 22, right? 27 plus 22. So for week 1, he's going to get charged $49. That's week 1. Now we need to figure out what we're going to do here in week 2 and 3. So he's going to get charged $49 for 3 weeks in a row. So if we take that $49, multiply that by the 3 weeks that he's going to run the ad, well, just simple math here real quick. $49 times, $50 times 3 is going to be $150, and I lose $1 each time. So simple math for me, this is going to be $147 as my answer. That's how much the ad's going to cost him for 3 weeks. Alright, a couple things to note in example number 3. You're going to create a word problem using the piecewise function. So first of all, notice that there's this $36.50 and this $36.50 both on each equation. And what we're really paying attention to is this domain over here. This is the domain restrictions. This x is less than or equal to 3, and this one down here, which is x is greater than 3. Okay, so those are the things that you want to pay attention to, because they're going to limit what this $36.50 is going to do. So I'm just going to create an example for this one, right? So I'll tell you a story in this case. Let's assume $36.50, that's what it's going to cost you to go to this house party, right? It's going to cost you $36.50. Now, the cool thing is you get to bring 3 of your friends. So 1 person there, 2 person there, 3 person there. All of you right there got access to this party with 1 ticket, right? So 1 ticket's going to get you $36.50. You can go by yourself, right? You can essentially go to this party just you alone, pay that $36.50. You can go with 2 friends, right? Let's do this. You can go with 2 friends and still pay that $36.50, or you can take the 3 of you guys to that party for $36.50. But if you bring anybody else with you, if you have any third wheels that are coming along, every person after that is going to be $6.25 more, right? Let's make that 25 cents a little nicer. 25 cents more. So each person after that, each individual that you bring is another $6.25, rather than having to pay that $36.50 to walk in the door. Now, if they had another group, maybe they can pay that same $36.50. But if they're part of your group that you show up at the same time, each person after that is going to pay $6.25 in addition to. And that's what this domain restriction here, that's what this thing is saying. This is saying that you're going to pay $36.50 when x, so each one of these people being an x, when x is less than or equal to 3. So when it's less than 3, so when you take that 1 person, it's still going to be $36.50. If you take 2 people, again, right, 2 of those x's, it's still going to be $36.50. If you take all 3 of these people, it's still going to be $36.50. But as soon as you take all these 3 and then you add another one, we have to add another $6.25 for each of these x's, above the 3 that we started with. Okay, so that's the best way for me to explain these piecewise functions. So it's not, figuring out how to solve this equation as in general. It's really about which one of these equations are you going to use. Are you going to use this top equation because, let me pick a different color. Are you going to use this top equation because you have 3 or less people? Or are you going to use this bottom equation right here because you have more than 3 people? You have more than 3 people here. Okay, so that's a piecewise function. Hopefully you guys got something out of that one. All right, last one. Find the cusp of the graph for the following piecewise function. Remember, a cusp is when these 2 lines, basically where they intersect. Now, I like to look at this 2 different ways. So I'm going to show you this as if we graph 2 separate lines, or actually where the thing changes, right? So if I looked at this first section, right, I'm just going to look at this first part of the piecewise function, this top part right here. Okay, so if I graph this, think of the c of x, in function notation, c of x is almost the same thing as y. So if this is y is equal to $42.50, right, what does that tell me? That tells me that if I have one of this particular item, right, let's say it's, I don't know, minutes, or it could be purses, or number of people going to a house party, whatever it is. If one person goes, it's going to cost me $42.50, because it says it's going to cost me $42.50 when x is less than or equal to 5. So that means y is always going to be $42.50 for at least the first 5 amounts, right? So 3, 4, 5, all the way up to here. This is going to be the same cost all the way down, right? But then it changes. At that point, it changes. So I'm going to pick a different color here. I'm going to go with purples. Purple's a cool color. So we got $42.50 plus $7 now for each additional line above that 5. So when x is greater than 5, it's going to be an additional $7. So if I go over here to 6, it's not $42.50 anymore. Now it's $49.50. So in other words, at this 5 here, this is the point where this new line starts to increase, and it increases at $7. So another one's going to cost me another $7. I'm going to be up here at $56.50. This new line is now increasing in this direction. Now it's going to go on forever because there's no limit. It says when x is greater than 5. So as long as I keep buying this particular item, it's going to keep going up by $7. Now down here though, this line doesn't have an arrow because it doesn't continue forever. If it was a y equals like this, for example, if there was just an equal sign, then yes, it would go on forever. But because we set this domain restriction here, because we limited x to only 5, this is where it changes. And this point right here, this point is where this blue line and this purple line intersect, or when they start to change directions. That's what we call the cusp. And that coordinate is at $5 and $42.50. $5 and $42.50. That is the coordinate for the cusp.